Hello, my name is Harris Zeiler. Welcome to my final discussion board video submission for Dr. Carey Roberts' History 701 course. In this final review, I am taking a look at some of the interpretations and reviews of George M. Marsden's The Outrageous Idea of Christian Scholarship. Thanks for watching. First, I tried to find some reviews that were critical of Mr. Marsden, and most people agree that it was a good monograph and that it was well researched and well thought out, and that the book, even if they disagreed with some of the premises, was well thought out and thought-provoking. That's good. However, I found a few reviews that I have attached as in my sources here. The first one by the Catholic Social Science Review, Volume 3, 1998, by Ryan Bellereau. And he talks about the inclusion of Catholics to the Christian ideal, and that perhaps Marsden should reach out a little more to people who believe in a pope and not just Christians in general. As I read through it, I did not see anything mention that Christians or Catholics would have any differing a point from this. However, he does have some interesting points in that he looks at modern day scholarship, and supposedly the American professors are supposed to be the most open-minded people around, yet are closed-minded to anything outside of their own little clique of scientific, supposedly, research. Interesting point, and with that, I wholeheartedly agree. Another source is by Jerome R. Perath, also from the Oxford University Press, and he reviews this as well. And he says that people can be true to their faith and yet be scholarly in their production of scholarly work. He says it's a difference with this is the Christian worldview. What I would call personally, he doesn't mention it here, but what I would call the Western tradition. And it's not just Christian, it's not just Catholic, it's the Judeo-Christian foundation of Western civilization. And in that, you can be loyal to that because that is what our culture is based on, the American and European cultures, and still believe in God and yet also do good scholarship. And with that, I wholeheartedly agree. But it's not just a Christian or a Catholic purview. It's more than that. It is the very basis of Western civilization itself. So with that, let's take a look at the final one by Kristen T. Edwards. It's a little more liberal, a little more out there. It's called College Teaching on Sacred Ground, Judeo-Christian Influences on Black Women Faculty Pedagogy. And so there has to be a racialist review. This is both racialist and feminist, so interesting. Hits a number of those boxes. And so here, she doesn't mention Western. She says it's important that we go non-Western, which is why I mentioned it in the last review, that it's very important in her abstract and throughout her article that non-Western voices, and especially underrepresented voices, should be included in his review. She doesn't talk specifically about this, but just in education and in scholarship in general. It's pretty interesting. In conclusion, what I'd like to do is mention that I myself consider the Christian tradition very important. As you can see, there is a lot of novels which are unintelligible, or you cannot get what was intended by the author without knowing this Western tradition. And so in scholarship, how can students at the secondary or even post-secondary level understand how to interpret something like Frankenstein or other novels or anything in Western literature without understanding that basis? And if we're not looking at Western literature, what other forms of literature are we looking at? And just to bring it to something that's within my wheelhouse. So taking a look at literature and history of the Western tradition, how can Christianity not be a part of that Judeo-Christian values? The idea that God exists, that the world is created, that it makes sense, that it can be studied through science, and yet still makes sense. And, I personally believe that, as the founders of America had believed, that God created the universe, and in this He gave us the ability to reason, and through that reason, be it science or analyzing literature or whatever human endeavor there is, that it's through this belief in God, and that the world makes sense, and in this worldview that things will be exposed. Thank you very much. I had a great time in this course, and thanks for watching. And I'm sure I'll keep up with everybody as we go through the system and matriculate, hopefully all meeting at graduation in a few years. Thank you. Have a good day.